Am I the asshole? For not letting my teenager go to a party she has been excited about for weeks. There is party that my 17 has been excited about going to a Christmas party for weeks. One of her good friends is throwing it. She is very responsible. I trust she won't drink and will be home by curfew. The parents will be home as well. The issue that comes in, we are going to get bad weather. Ice and snow during the night. She does not have a lot of experience driving in snowy, icy weather since she got her license in the summer. Her father and I don't feel comfortable having one of her first solo driving experiences in icy, snowy weather be at night. Her friend's parents don't want anyone staying the night. My husband is an EMT and will be on duty. He has stated multiple times when the weather snowy and icy, it is safer for everyone if people who don't need to be out driving stay off the roads. We told her it would be safer if she stayed home and she would have other parties. She is mad and not speaking to me right now. She yelled that I broke my promise and how I say a person word is everything and to not promise something if you don't mean it, and that very AH. Edit: the friend lives about 30 minutes away. The road crews and first responders are advising people to stay off the roads. If it is what it is predicted to be, it will be bad. Edit: two parents cancelled the party. They are going to reschedule it for later. NAH, I am honestly shocked by all the YTAs. A 30-minute drive in icy and snowy conditions is hard for anyone. Clearly the daughter isn't the AH, but I seriously don't blame the mother for this situation. Also, those saying Uber, would you really trust your kid's life in the hands of another person in adverse conditions? The only caveat here is that I would at least tell your daughter that you can play it by ear based on the weather conditions when it nears the party. If it is okay enough, then I would suggest you drive her. Her friend's parents are no longer TA since they cancelled the party due to inclement weather conditions. Not the asshole, and I'm convinced that everyone calling you an AH hasn't had to drive in truly bad conditions before. Last year I wound up in the position of having to drive home during a snowstorm. It took me almost an hour to travel less than 10 miles, I slid through every stop sign, and I passed dozens of cars in ditches. I did get home safely and thought I was in the clear. Then later I found out that, without even realizing it, the piled ice on the road had torn up the underside of my car so bad I needed thousands of dollars of repairs. 010 would not recommend. Nah. A 30-minute drive in horrible icy snowy conditions is more than an hour, not to mention the danger inherent in it. If the friend's parents were smart, they would postpone the party because no one should be driving in bad weather if they can help it. Everyone who is saying you should just drive her misses the point that you would be driving in that same bad weather. Bad weather is bad weather even for an experienced driver. Ntar. If there is an AH, it's the hosts for not cancelling. NAH, you are correct that driving in snow and ice is needlessly dangerous, but you should wait to see what the actual weather does before issuing an edict based on the forecast. Not the asshole, the parents should reschedule the party to a clearer weekend if they don't want people staying the night. If the weather is going to be as bad as you are implying, then other suggestions of you driving her instead aren't of any help. OP, are you in the West? This is predicted to be a hell of a storm. My husband cancelled all his events due to the storm. I'm surprised the other parents aren't cancelling the party. Don't worry about your daughter, these are the times she needs your experience to overrule her enthusiasm. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, her safety is priority. Snow and ice are no joke. Even if you drove her yourself, that's 2 hours of you on the road unnecessarily, and that's if you can make it there in 30 minutes with bad weather. Also, trust me, an internet stranger, your daughter doesn't want to end up in a ditch alone, in the dark, in the cold. It's dangerous. The YTA people must be from the South. I grew up in Minnesota and plenty of time in a ditch in the cold dark of night before cell phones. It sucks. Don't recommend. Not the asshole. As someone who has been forced to drive in bad weather in the past and once was stuck on the highway for 9 hours trying to get home, and because of fatality crash there were multiple during that winter storm, and had a co-worker end up in ditch during the same winter storm, I believe in staying off the roads as much as possible during bad weather. All it takes is hitting one patch of ice to cause an accident. To all the people telling you to take her yourself, road conditions don't magically get better as you age. You can't control anyone else on the road, even the most reliable vehicles can crash, and a party is not necessary travel. Weather advisories literally mean if you don't have to go anywhere, stay home, which is what your family should do. Not the asshole. With your edit, not the asshole. The parents should cancel the party. Risking anyone's life for a party is a hard nope for me. A new driver, in bad winter weather? No way. And the suggestions to drive her yourself don't make a lot of sense. That's 4 trips, driving there and back in likely increasingly bad weather. At least 2 hours on the road. Yeah, no. Not the asshole. It's not 5 minutes away and she is a new driver. Unless she has a friend close by the party where she can spend the night. Teenagers don't get bad driving. My SS was 16 icy slush on ground. Asked him to be careful and he snarled it was fine. Pulled him out of a ditch 10 minutes later. Not the asshole. You're doing the right thing. People are allowed to revise plans in emergencies. As a previous 17-year-old who grew up in mountains that had horrible snow every winter, was I mad af every time my mom told me the roads were too bad for me to drive to my friend's party? Absolutely. Was I glad I lived to see the following parties in spite of the people who absolutely had no business being on the road and chose to be anyway, causing terminal accidents? You bet your ass. She'll be mad at you, but you're doing the right thing. Nah. Not the asshole, it isn't worth the risk. The people who suck are her friends' parents who won't let anyone spend the night and are forcing them to go back home in the bad weather. If the weather changes, I'd hope she can go, but that isn't anyone's fault. This was a scenario I was presented with during a Myers-Briggs session at work recently. I want to know what other parents are doing, and the girls' parents who are throwing the party, are they prepared to be iced in with a house full of teenagers for a couple of days? I grew up in the north, and now live in the south. If they say a storm is coming and stay home, the adult thing to do is stay home. I'd rather my child be pissed at me for a time, than be injured for life or worse. Nah. Not the asshole. You can't control the weather, and if it's bad enough the authorities are recommending people stay home, then you should stay home. These calls aren't made lightly. Yes, it sucks for your daughter. But endangering yourself and others for the fun of it isn't a good look. That said, if you'd be willing to jump in the car and run to the grocery store in similar weather, then you should consider that it isn't so bad. At that point, driving her yourself is a fair compromise. Good luck training her for driving in inclement weather for the future. Not the asshole. If authorities are directing people not to drive, you should not send an inexperienced driver into those conditions. I know it's hard for a teen to see that, but it sounds like you're being responsible parents. There will be other parties. NAH is a former 17-year-old girl who prioritized seeing her friends over anything. I totally understand why she's upset, and it's fair to be sad that she'll be missing the party. At the same time, you and your husband are definitely not in the wrong for wanting her to stay home, especially since it's a long drive. I live in Canada, and even if you do have a ton of experience driving in ice and snow, it's still super dangerous, especially at night. Not the asshole. Sometimes plans get cancelled due to weather, and it sucks. But it doesn't make you an asshole for not wanting her out in it. Especially if she doesn't have much if any experiences driving in it, and 30 minutes away. Yeah, no, you're good. Keep her home and safe. Assuming the weather conditions will be as bad as predicted, not the asshole, clearly. Hopefully the party parents will do the reasonable thing and cancel or reschedule. Not the asshole. I also have teenagers, and I also live somewhere where the roads can turn to shit with snow and ice in a matter of minutes. If you're not comfortable driving her, then she can't go. That's all there is to it. She'll be pissed, but she will get over it. If roads end up being as bad as predicted, a lot of other kids won't be able to go either.